What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist here on the Odd Shopper Golf Channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy's Best 9 Bets. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Last week, not my best week. You have 3 of 4 weeks with winners. That's bound to happen. So I'm still feeling all right. Still feeling really good about our process. Going to be keeping it to a half unit per play here in these streets. Focus on a couple of tournament matchups. We have some make-miss cuts this week after taking a week off in that department. And then, of course, the outright market. Looking forward to all of that goodness, just like I'm looking forward to you checking out FanDuel Sportsbook. I have a lot of odds that I've taken from there as well. They're our partners here on this program. You can sign up for them in the video description box below. And I know a lot of you already have FanDuel. We're always going to have different offers circulating in and out of the rotation here over at Odd Shopper Golf. But FanDuel Sportsbook, they're along for the ride here right now. You bet $5 on anything. Because it doesn't even have to be golf. It could be NBA with the playoffs. You have MLB going every single day from now until 2028. You have an opportunity to definitely get some coin on something, and you put $5, doesn't have to win. You put $5, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets. It's only if you're 21 and over, and if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, you know the deal. We've got a cool scorecard on the bottom. That's why it's 9 bets. It's also because that just tends to be kind of how many I put into my card every single week, usually in that 10 to 15 range, depending on how many tournament matchups I want to add. Only two that I have here this week. So like always, we're going to start with those. Let's get to the picks. I'm going to set the table for you all. Hole number 1, the Mexico Open at Vedanta. We have 2 premier players in the field, Tony Finau and Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm is by far and away the #1 player in the world. He won that small little, Masters golf tournament that seems like it matters to a lot of people. Kind of important. You get a jacket, you look cool, you get to play in it for the rest of your life. What a deal Augusta National has going over there. It's fantastic. Good for Jon Rahm. I'm very happy. I just hope Tony Finau beats him this week. I'm getting nearly 2-1 over at DraftKings Sportsbook, plus 190. That is the best number available currently on this play. And I get it. Jon Rahm's going to beat Tony Finau a lot of the time, but is he going to beat him at a 2-1 clip? I don't believe so. I think this golf course is set up really strongly for both of them. Jon Rahm being a former winner here, obviously, but Tony Finau absolutely bombs it. And we're not really looking at anything in terms of course history here outside of, Rahm won it. Cameron Champ was in contention once upon a time, although he's not on my betting card. I can't trust him here at the moment. But I look at Tony Finau, and I see phenomenal approach game here of late. In fact, he has been positive in a massive regard in every single tournament since his win at the Houston Open last November. We're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 golf tournaments that he has been massively positive here in a row with the irons. Isn't it great to hear me count on this show? Well, we are counting to 9. I should have stopped there. That would have been great. But Tony Finau, 2-1. Yeah, plus 190 over at DraftKings. Feeling really good about that number. Not so good about the competition. He's pretty good, Jon Rahm, but I think this is just trust the math, fire it up. Tony Finau, hole number 1 to beat Jon Rahm in the tournament matchup. To hole number 2, and this is kind of a surprising spot for me, a player that I don't know if I've backed a whole lot, and I haven't necessarily enjoyed it because, well, he's played pretty decent of late. Will Gordon. Now, I thought about him in the outright market. 50-1 seems like a good number, but there's a matchup against S.H. Kim that I feel pretty confident Will Gordon shouldn't be even money against. Now, he comes off of a miscut at the Valero. That was a long time ago. The Valspar, we've seen him, pretty intermittently over the course of the last month. Actually, pretty much not at all. But I feel pretty confident that S.H. Kim isn't of the same quality. And I'm surprised when you look at something like the sportsbook odds and you see S.H. Kim at a longer number. We're talking 55-1, then 50-1. Why is S.H. Kim the favorite? Again, just straight off of the odds that we're looking at in the books, 50-1 Will Gordon, best available number, 55-1 S.H. Kim. That logic alone, it's more of a math equation than it is simply me breaking down their skill sets. And even still, Will Kim, I think, has the better skill set between the two. He's a better iron player. He's better off the tee. And S.H. Kim can play a little bit of golf. Don't get me wrong. But I feel as though the driver, we just saw it for the first time in a long time at the Valero where he gained 3.4. But before then, lost at the Players, Arnold Palmer. These are pretty forgiving fairways. I'm really looking at guys who can just bomb it and then give you an opportunity around the green here. And the putter has been a little bit colder for both of these guys than maybe you want, but that's why I'm looking at them in the head-to-head market, where, again, I'm just a little bit confused when I can find a better number for one than the other. And just saying, he's the favorite in this situation. So we're going to the underdog in this matchup, Will Gordon. Yes, plus 100 versus SH Kim on DraftKings Sportsbook. Riddle me that, Batman. And hole number 3, we head to the make, miss, cut section already. I'm looking forward to it because there are some really long numbers on a couple of players that are looked at as elite in this field. And outside of Rahm and outside of Finau, Wyndham Clark is the next in terms of odds. It becomes then a little bit, in my opinion, of a crapshoot. Gary Woodland steamed up to just about 20-1. Patrick Rodgers, speaking of, he's 5th best odds currently over at DraftKings Sportsbook and FanDuel Sportsbook. I think that's a little bit crazy to me when you're talking about somebody who, outside of one good week, yes, we're one look. Yeah, we had one good look at him at the Valero, and he gained a bunch of with the irons at the RBC, so I don't want to completely besmirch his last appearance from a week and a half ago, but yeah, this is weird to me. He had 4 missed cuts in 5 events. Nobody would be looking at his current, outside of his last 2 events, it has been a disaster of a spring for him, and now he's got the 5th best odds on the board. So I instantly headed over to the miscut section. I get it. It's a long shot that he's going to end up missing this cut. Minus 460 is the number over at FanDuel, but it's also plus 290 at FanDuel Sportsbook for him to miss it. Sorry, make it is the short one when you're talking minus 460, missing it plus 290, almost 3-1. Again, almost 3-1 to have Patrick Rodgers, somebody who missed the cut at the Corrales Punta Cana. Let me say that one more time. The Corrales Punta Cana, he missed the cut. This is too good of a number to be getting. I thought about a full unit on this one. If I had to pick one play to be tailing on this board, I get it. It's not the outright massive payouts that we've had here in 3 of the last 5 weeks. And my dog got up because he's upset about it. He's like, Eric, how could you say this about Patrick Rodgers? You liked him once upon a time. I did. It's a nice little cut off the tee, massive, tall individual, takes very good care of himself, very meticulous. No, Patrick Rodgers missing the cut, 3-1. Whoo-hoo! Let's go. Have one cold week with the putter. It could happen here for Patrick. So we go from talking crap about Patrick Rodgers in hole number 3 to hole number 4. I'm going to be backing a young lad who I'm a little bit surprised isn't getting a shorter number here. Again, another player that I thought about in terms of an outright market, but just on the outside looking into the card. It's Aisha Bhatia. And Aisha Bhatia is somebody a lot of people might not know, but coming up as a lefty, a kid who he works with George Genkus out in Southern California, somebody who just absolutely rips the golf ball. But we saw him compete at the Corrales and then fell apart a little bit there. We saw him get second at the Puerto Rico Open, 2 of those alternate events. Outside of the top 2, Jon Rahm and Tony Finau, who just don't even fit categorically into this field just because of how much better they are than everybody else. I'm very confused that Aisha Bhatia would be this far down the list in terms of make cut odds. Yes, it's almost minus 200. Yeah, we're talking minus 182. So you're laying 2-1 to win some money, but I don't care. A good bet is a good bet. He's plus 130 to miss. I think we're going to be avoiding that. I think Bhatia has shown in weaker fields, he's going to be competing against some of these players that are the middle tier to back tier of the PGA Tour. He's already at that level. I think because of how wide open it plays, he's going to be able to just rip driver just about everywhere. And I'm a little bit surprised that Bhatia sitting here with the ball striking numbers, 37th among strokes gained amongst this entire field right now, and seeing how well he's played in these worse fields, if you will, knowing that off the tee game, approach game is going to be the best part of his golf game. Pretty clear cut to me. You get on these flat, slower greens here, and you fire it up. So Aisha Bhatia to make the cut. Think about him. I'm hoping we can get a little bit better number come Wednesday here. I'm recording this on Tuesday. So Aisha Bhatia to make the cut, though, that's the number I want to target, minus 182. I talked about it earlier, but just a reminder, I know a lot of you already have FanDuel Sportsbook. It's one of the biggest, the largest we have here in the United States and greater North American area. But FanDuel Sportsbook, you just have bet $5, $5 on anything, doesn't even have to win. You get $150 in bonus bets. That's great stuff. So $150 just for the price of $5. Sign up for that in the video description box below. Check it out. FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner here right now. I was going to say official. That's a weird way of putting it. Only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we have the outright market coming up next. Let's get to it. Let's get really weird, shall we? And this is just an absolute flyer based on that Corrales Punta Cana. I do think that there is something to being able to at least compete in some of these weaker field events. That is what Corrales is. That's what the Puerto Rico Open is. Talked about it for Aisha Bhatia. I'm also going to talk about it for Kelly Kraft top 20. It is over 10-1. We're talking plus 1100 at BetMGM right now. Now, Kelly Kraft had a decent amateur career, never has really put it together here in the pros. Just really hasn't. But we have seen flashes in 2022 of what could be, in fact, a top 15. Yes, finished 15th at this event in 2022. He also finished 11th at the 3M Open, a weaker field event. 13th at the RBC Canadian. Actually, some dudes who could play some golf, even though it was a weird golf course last year. And the Corrales Punta Cana, 16th. Kelly Kraft is 11-1. I'm not saying that this is something that's super likely. This is obviously not even a 50-50 coin flip. But I'm saying this is something that is not valued correctly based on his previous appearance here, his previous history in weaker events. And I just think that you're going to either get a missed cut or you're going to have him play pretty well here. I think those are the kind of guys you want to be taking shots on in the top 20 market week in, week out, especially if you can find some kind of a trend like that that kind of gives you some type of inkling that a number might be off. Now, there are some spots like FanDuel, DraftKings. This number is inside of that. I wouldn't want to have any part of that. But Kelly Kraft at plus 1100 over at BetMGM, that makes the card top 20. Let's go. Next up, we head to hole number 6, and we're going to talk about Nicolai Hojgaard, the Danish, not disaster, fantastic human being. I love the Danes. They are lovely people, and this guy just bashes golf balls. Oh, would you look at that? He finished second at the Corrales Punta Cana. He's better than plus 100, and that shouldn't be the case to top 20 amongst this field because he has that European pedigree. He has won many times on the DP World Tour overseas. And now he's been bringing his game to America. It has not gone so well here over the course of the last calendar year, but there are some signs that things are improving. The Corrales, that second place. The 28th at the Valero. Going to be playing more because of that second place finish at the Corrales. Really opened up some starts on tour for him, and this being one of them. I think he takes advantage. He needs to play himself into some spots where he can actually maybe get a tour card for the U.S. here, and that seems to be his goal based on what he's talked about. So Nicolai Hojgaard also going to be more of a bomber type. We don't have a huge amount of sample size for him here in the States, but trust me, he's going to just mash it. At the PGA Championship, gained a stroke, 1.7 strokes last year. Decent enough number that we had there. The Arnold Palmer 1.4. The other two, the Valero last week, not last week, but at the beginning of the month, lost 3.1, but just was sideways, and you hit it into the shrubbery out there in San Anton, and things were not going to be good. So Nicolai Hojgaard, that's who we want to be firing up. Top 20, talking plus 155 on FanDuel Sportsbook. You know what? Screw it. Let's run it back, shall we? Heading to hole number 7, Nicolai Hojgaard to win at 30-1. Everything that I just talked about, guess what? It still applies. He's still going to bash it off the tee. I think in weaker field events, he's actually a player that I trust. And it seems as though the books do too, to a certain extent. But this is just another one of those BetMGM Caesars type lines where you get one or two of these guys that are longer than the Jon Rahms and Finaus that stand out. And why do we call it odd shopper golf? Well, because you want to shop for the best odds. Doesn't matter if it's FanDuel Sportsbook, DraftKings Sportsbook, Caesars, BetMGM. I want you guys having exposure to all of them so you can always find the best number, especially in a sport like golf where when you hit with your guy, you want every single dollar you can get to make up for some of the weeks where you're not going to be on. And hey, we've been running extremely hot here 3 for 5 outrights. But Nicolai Hojgaard is actually one of the guys I started off my card with instantly at 30 to 1. And I hate to be a little bit of a chalk donkey, and there are some outright markets that exist where it's not with Jon Rahm in them, and you can bet things that way. But I would rather be taking shots at Jon Rahm. We already bet him to beat him straight up. Tony Finau, and this makes me feel a little bit sick because, again, I don't like betting favorites. It's not one of my favorite things to do. You have two very, very short numbers on Jon Rahm and Tony Finau, but I still think there's actual value at plus 850 on FanDuel. Now, similar to the Masters odds, where you had a couple of guys sitting inside of 10 to 1, which is just wild in a sport like golf, where it's so hard to imagine that those players can routinely win. But now we've seen it time and time again with Finau and Scottie Scheffler, where when you're the class of the field, you can really elevate your game. And for me, this is just a number on Tony Finau, where I think you run this golf tournament out 10 times. I'd be surprised if he didn't at least win it twice. Yeah, you heard me. Literally plus 500 type deal. Like maybe 1.5 if we want to be going that direction. But just inside of it, you run this golf tournament out 10 times on this track where it's wide open, 40-yard wide fairways, water in some different spots, but not really all that in play except for with long irons. And Tony Finau just happens to be the best long iron player on tour these days. Shout out to Paul Casey. I hope he's doing well over on Live. But definitely want the Tony Finau backing here in some capacity. And it makes my card a little bit shorter. It limits the amount of exposure I can have to anybody else with shorter odds there. So, talking inside of the 30 to 1 bucket. But I didn't bet Wyndham Clark, which I know a lot of people are doing. I didn't bet Gary Woodland, which I know a lot of people are doing inside of that 30 to 1 number. So I think because I'm avoiding that, it makes me pretty excited to back Tony Finau inside of 10 to 1. I think you really want to be adding only long shots, or Nicolai Hojgaard 30 to 1 being my longest number on the card outside of Finau. So just be careful with your exposure. Don't have too many pieces at the top of the marketplace. But Tony Finau plus 850 on FanDuel Sportsbook, he's on my card. And to a guy that I've brought up many a time, and no, we're not talking about Aaron Rai, who I've liked forever. However, I don't think this is the golf course for him. I'm going to be firing up Garrick Higgo, who I do believe has started to turn a corner here on tour. I think that there are a couple of pieces of evidence in his strokes gain data that we can draw a couple of conclusions from. First off, he's just going to be better in some of these weaker field events. His very first start on the PGA Tour outside of the PGA Championship was at the Palmetto. He went out and won the damn thing. Came over from Europe. Now he's had his card. He's been hanging out here for a while. 2021, 2022, outside of a third at the Sanderson Farms, nothing to really write home about. But this year, starting with the American Express, there started to be a trend with the driver. He started gaining 1, 1.8, 0.6, 1. And this is somebody who routinely had not been good with that club through all of 2021, tail end of 2021, beginning of 2022. Once he got that club kind of figured out, it seemed as though he was going to have spiked iron weeks. And when you're one of the best around the green players on the PGA Tour already, that creates opportunities for you to score. I want to have backing of some of these Euros that I think have an opportunity, or in this case, a South African who have played on the DP World Tour, had success on some of the easier golf courses. This is the 11th easiest golf course on the PGA Tour from last year. I think if it sets up like that again, you're going to see the Finaus, you're going to see the Rahms up top. But if you're trying to take a long shot, really see what the upside can be. I think the upside could be a win or get out of there kind of situations. And some of his numbers are a little too short, for my opinion, for the top 20. I don't really want to be taking any kind of stabs on that. I either want all the upside at 75 to 1 of the W, or I'm okay passing on Garrick Higgo, taking shots on a different day. So that is my absolute dart for you here. There's a couple of others that are on the board that I think we could maybe take a look at. But to round out our card here on Lindy's best 9 bets, hit it up. Garrick Higgo, 75 to 1, sitting over at FanDuel Sportsbook. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Best 9 Bets. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell as you get out of here. Check out FanDuel Sportsbook if you haven't already. Sign up at the link below. Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets on, without any worries whatsoever. You're going to absolutely be getting that instantly. It's only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Alrighty, I'll be back. Mexico Open, wild week. Going to be a fun one. Can't believe we're fading Jon Rahm. We're sick people. But it's going to be an awesome week. Looking forward to it. Again, half unit across the board feels pretty good. But until next time, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the PGA streets this weekend, the Mexico Open at Vedanta.